Howdy everybody, welcome back to the channel RVCCIS.info. We're the full-time faculty for Rock Valley College's Computers and Information Systems Department. Talks to you about things that are, roughly speaking, in the same ballpark as computers, information systems, or thereabouts. Today, what Stephanie Washer, that's on this side, and I will do, is just give you a couple more tips for test taking. In the previous series, we had talked about some of the certificates that are connected with our program here at Rock Valley College. And what we thought we would do is give you a couple of strategies for maximizing your potential on a certification exam. So without further ado, what kinds of tips should we give students here?
Well, I think the first tip is read the question in full before you answer or think you know the answer, and make sure you understand what the question is asking, because as we all know, for A+ or Cisco, sometimes what they're actually asking may not be easily seen when you just skim a question.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, those kinds of tests are like notorious for including a not in there. Which one of these is not is a completely different question than which one of these is. So those really tend to throw students just like across the board.
Right. And then some of them I've noticed, they might not say in parentheses behind, choose all that apply, choose 3, choose 2. It might say it in the actual question.
Mm-hmm.
So they're notorious for the multiple choice questions, but multiple choice, multiple answer questions as well. So that would be the first thing I would do. And then the second thing would be, figure out which answers don't match, like which ones are wrong off the bat, which ones you can cancel off right away. And then maybe there's only 2 questions or 2 answers left that you can choose between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always good. If you can choose between 2 probable responses as opposed to guessing between 4 probable responses, that really gives you a lot more, at least the feeling of control.
Yeah.
Over, I don't think it's actually any real semblance of control, but all that matters is your feelings anyway, right? It's you're the one who's taking a test. So if you feel better about it, that's pretty good.
Yeah, like if I'm having a little minor panic attack while reading a question, if I can get rid of one of the answers, that usually helps me feel a little more like I can answer that question appropriately. So that's good. I would say beforehand, you want to make sure you know the test and the type of questions, obviously, and study properly. Like take practice exam questions, which Jim talked about in the CCNA video, and then I talked about in the A+ video. So Eric will link those videos below, or you will see them below. So
yep.
Those would be good for those specific ones.
Yeah, and even if you are positive you know the material, do go back and, like we mentioned, even if you have to invest in taking those assessment materials, they are built to mimic what the exam will do. And all of those tools that you can bring with you into the exam are better. So even if you know what you're doing, but you're not ready to take an exam, right? So you know the content, but you don't know how they're going to ask you the questions. That's a negative going in. So even if you have to pay for those materials, which we advocate for again, go ahead and make sure you do that.
Exactly. And Rock Valley has some classes that, like our PCT 110 is the Network Plus, our PCT 130 is Security Plus, and then PCT 262 is A+ Essentials, which is the A+ exam. I can vouch for sure the PCT 262, which is what I teach. The book comes with practice questions, and you can get resources through that book and through the class for practice questions and how to study and all of that. Plus, I believe in the front of the book are all of the objectives for that exam. So our classes do help. The CCNA course, which is 3 courses through Rock Valley, PCT 120, 122, and 124, do help with the CCNA, and there is a ton of practice questions on there. And Jim and I turn on those practice questions, and you can test them out. And even taking that final exam is practice for the CCNA. So,
Right.
So those are all good resources. We have a new class, PCT 290, which will be PCT 128 in the spring, and that is our Cert Prep course. And that is just a course solely that you can use for prepping for any certification you want. And you can take it multiple times if you want to do the CCNA and then you want a class to keep you accountable. Because, you know, Eric and I can say too, you know, I have to keep myself accountable when I go work out, and I have to have somebody where I go meet with them. Otherwise I don't make it to the gym, right? So we sometimes need things to keep us accountable, and that class can help with that. And it could be A+, NET+, CCNA. I would, if you want to do the MCSA stuff, I would be willing for that too. So those are all good resources through Rock Valley, through our classes. And, you know, you can always ask your teacher. Like Eric always has good resources to research. Sometimes when you research online for test prep, it's not the greatest, but
yeah, that's what I wanted to say was, if, you know, a lot of students say, you know, they're going to go ahead and attempt it without taking a class or without talking to an instructor. And if that was the best way for you to pass those certifications, they would charge more for those materials, right? Because if that was the way that was most liable to get you to a successful completion, which was, you know, a certificate, that's where they would be doing that. There's a reason why we still have teachers in a classroom like us. It's because just working online in the absence of somebody to help keep you accountable, somebody to help push your knowledge, somebody to help highlight when your understanding isn't understanding, it's actually getting in the way of something that could be helping you. Those are the reasons to really think about investing in one of those classes, because having that external benchmark, you know, something like a score from an instructor or working with other students in a classroom, those things really help legitimize those things that you think you're learning, and they turn them into actual, concrete, sequential, results-oriented things that you can actually accomplish.
Yeah, exactly. So to kind of sum up what we said, you can take a class through your community college, through us at Rock Valley. You want to make sure that when you take the test that you read through the test questions. You want to budget your time. You don't want to take too much time on each question, which is one thing that I didn't say before. So you read each question carefully, take a little bit of time, but not too much, because they're all timed tests. And then cross out any answers that may not be associated with that question. So that you narrow it down to a couple of answers instead of the full amount of answers. So, and you know what, I overanalyze things, so don't try and read into things, read the question as it is. So like Eric said earlier, it might have a not in it, so double check and make sure that you read the question correctly. And you know, any kind of assessment tools that you can take will be helpful. And I think those are, do you have any other? I think those are kind of like the summary of what we
that's
talked about.
Test taking 101. Do remember to go look through the comment section here down below. We do have listed from both of the previous episodes. We'll just relink all of those materials here again today. Be sure to leave us a comment whether or not you have invested in any test prep material, or if you have taken some of your certifications as well. Do remember to also hit us up on our Twitter and Facebook accounts, which are at RVCCIS.info. And on behalf of Stephanie Washer and myself, Eric Wolf, and our missing comrades, Jim Conley and Chuck Conkle, remember, please stay safe and stay sane out there, everyone.